film starts with Detective Spencer from Boston and his partner, Driscoll, heading to Captain John Boylan's home. He knocks at the door, and when Boylan opens it, Spencer enters his home. He observes that Boylan is under the influence of alcohol, and it seems that his wife has been injured in an accident. The items inside their house are scattered and disorganized. In a voiceover, Spencer narrates his investigation into Boylan's suspected connection to Gloria Wisniewski's murder in a statement to a judge. He describes his visit to Boylan's house in the testimony. The tension rises as Spencer confronts Boylan. At this point, Spencer is sentenced to 5 years in prison, but he still asserts that his actions were justified. Scene shifts, and we see that Spencer is nearing the end of his almost 5-year prison sentence. During this period, he forms a connection with Squeeb, a fellow inmate associated with an Aryan supremacist group. Today, as Spencer sits in the prison library for reading, he finds himself surrounded by Squeeb and the group. They deliver a parting message, which leads to a confrontation. Spencer gets into a physical fight with the group members but successfully beats them off. Eventually, he is released from prison. Upon his release, Henry Sommerly, Spencer's close friend and business partner, is there to welcome him. Spencer is surprised when his ex-girlfriend, Sissy Davis, makes an unannounced visit to the prison to pick him up. Unprepared to face her, he decides to avoid meeting her and hides in Henry's car, expressing that he's not ready to see her yet. Then Spencer and Henry use Henry's car to leave the prison and make their way to Henry's new home. Upon reaching the residence, they discover that Pearl, Spencer's dog, is still living there. Spencer expresses his extreme affection towards his dog. He also meets Hawk, a man he has to share a room with, and notices that Hawk has developed a stronger bond with Pearl. This makes him disappointed. In the next scene, Boylan is driving home and having a conversation with his daughter on the phone. Passing a bus station, he proceeds on his way home. Out of nowhere, a truck runs him over, and a group of hooded individuals emerges from the shadows and kill him. His daughter listens in dread as the attack unfolds before her eyes. The assailants accuse Boylan of sharing information about their actions to someone else. Following that, one of them uses a machete to kill him. The next morning, we see Nurse Letitia, who arrives home to discover her husband, Detective Terrence, shot in the head while seated in his car's driver's seat. Overwhelmed with grief, Letitia is crying uncontrollably as passersby attempt to word spreads quickly through news channels about what happened to Boylan and Terrence. Spencer also watches this news. He also becomes the prime suspect as he had any old rivalry with Boylan. So Driscoll and another investigator visit him at home to confirm that he is not involved in the crime. Fortunately, Spencer successfully convinces them that he was present at home when Boylan was murdered. In the next scene, during his new job training as a truck driver, Spencer sees a massive truck that captures his immediate interest. However, the trainer instructs him to move away from the truck. Throughout the training, Spencer's thoughts are consumed by the murders of Terrence and Boylan. Terrence's suspected involvement in the crime distresses Spencer, especially as the police found drugs and money in his house. The media's portrayal of him as guilty, along with suggestions of suicide, further adds to Spencer's burden. Upon witnessing Letitia's emotional state on television, Spencer is motivated to independently unravel the mystery. Personally acquainted with Terrence and aware of his integrity as a law enforcement officer, Spencer decides to visit Letitia. On his visit, she discloses that the law enforcement personnel at the scene seemed to know exactly where a concealed stash of drugs was located. Letitia also mentions that the last time anyone saw Terrence, he was walking into a pub with Boylan. Spencer then visits a police bar and engages in a conversation with another detective who may or may not be aware of Terrence's connection to Boylan. Spencer apologizes for his past treatment of Boylan, but soon after, officers loyal to Boylan and they attack Spencer, beat him, and forcibly throw him out of the bar. Then he heads to a nearby convenience store and purchases something from there. Then he asks for the restroom, but enters in the control room to get the security camera footage capturing Terrence and Boylan conversing outside the bar. Back at Spencer's house, Hawk assists in maintaining a steady stream of the acquired footage as Spencer is not adept at technology. In the footage, they observe that Terrence gets into a luxurious Corvette with someone, but the footage is too blurred to see the license plate. Also, there is another car which leaves with them, but it is also unrecognizable. Spencer then visits the crime scene to search for any overlooked evidence and discovers a toothpick there. Knowing that Driscoll always has a toothpick in his mouth, Spencer becomes suspicious. Following that, he confronts Driscoll in a gym who denies being at the crime scene. However, Spencer remains skeptical. Later, Spencer and Hawk share a meal, but Spencer's mood sours upon seeing his ex-girlfriend Sissy at the restaurant. Sissy follows Spencer to the restroom and locks the door. They initially argue there, and then share a brief intimate moment, breaking the mirror behind them in the heat of their emotions. During their conversation, Sissy mentions a past pregnancy concern and recalls Spencer's promise to help. However, Spencer was imprisoned, leaving her with no one to turn to. Exiting the restaurant, Spencer and Hawk notice the same Corvette captured on the surveillance footage. In his attempt to chase the vehicle on foot, Spencer is attacked by a guard dog while cutting across a yard. The dog bites him multiple times, and during this the Corvette vanishes. Despite the setback, when Spencer returns to Hawk, Hawk shares that he successfully identified the license plate number. Spencer then exerts pressure on a DMV clerk to obtain relevant information about the owner. They discover that the car belongs to Charlie Bentwood, a member of the Irish gang Tracksuit. While spying on the world outside, Spencer, Hawk, and Henry watch Bentwood getting a massage. Spencer reflects on his past with Boylan and Gloria Wisniewski, remembering moments like clearing snow from Gloria's mother's porch. Gloria, an activist against redevelopment in the Bentwood neighborhood, faced a grim fate when Bentwood was sent to kill her. Despite her resilience, she eventually discovered her cat tied to the door, and days later, Spencer found her lifeless body in the trunk. The challenging responsibility of informing Gloria's mother about the tragedy weighed heavily on Spencer. After reviewing surveillance footage showing thugs murdering Gloria, Spencer discovered that Boylan had neglected the case, specifically ignoring this crucial evidence. Confronting Boylan with his fury, Spencer found that Boylan avoided the confrontation, suggesting he might be hiding something related to the case. Spencer was close to the family of Gloria, so he took the case more seriously. This led to Spencer attacking Boylan at his home. While Spencer is in his memories, Hawk scratches the Corvette and punctures it with a knife to provoke Bentwood. They continue monitoring Bentwood until they find 2 FBI agents also investigating him. The agents warn Spencer to cease his investigation, but Spencer pays no heed. Spencer visits Squeeb in prison, seeking additional information. He wants to know who ordered Squeeb's group to attack him on his last day in prison. He persuades Squeeb by showing footage of Hawk on a date with Squeeb's girlfriend, filmed by Henry. Initially resistant, Squeeb eventually relents. Finally, the crucial word Wonderland is disclosed by Squeeb. With the help of journalist Wayne Cosgrove, Spencer and Hawk uncover that Wonderland is a gambling scam orchestrated by corrupt police officers and a group of criminals. When Spencer investigates the area, he faces off against 2 gang members. Those gang members force Spencer and Hawk to leave that place. Then we see that Boylan's funeral is conducted with the highest military honors customary for a law enforcement officer. In contrast, Terry's funeral is more low-key, attended only by close friends and family because he has been called a criminal and a black dot for the department. Elsewhere, Driscoll and his associate Macklin discuss a sensitive matter. They are concerned about potential exposure of their crimes and an undesirable situation arising. Spencer visits a restaurant where he's recognized by the Trinitarios gang, leading to a brutal machete attack. He defends himself until Hawk arrives in a car to assist him. He smashes the car in the glass wall of restaurant and saves Spencer, aware that the Trinitarios now know his identity and may target him. Spencer decides to protect Pearl and Hawk by hiding them with Sissy at her house. Upon reaching her house, they discover that it is full of her pet dogs and she loves them a lot. Later he visits Letitia's house and sees that someone has searched her house thoroughly as everything was scattered and disorganized. There he asks Letitia what they were searching for, to which she provides an audio tape that Terrence maintained between himself and Boylan. The tape reveals Boylan's corruption, implicating Bentwood, Macklin, and Driscoll in his illicit operations. The audio evidence also discloses that Driscoll was the one who delivered the fatal blow, driven by an unwavering commitment to justice. Spencer hands over the evidence to the FBI, hoping it will be enough to bring down the elusive Driscoll. Unfortunately, the federal authorities deem the evidence insufficient, leaving Spencer with no choice but to take matters into his own hands. With determination on his face, Spencer tracks down Bentwood, the man holding crucial information about a narcotic shipment bound for the mysterious Wonderland. The interrogation is brutal, with Spencer putting Bentwood's head into water used for foot massage and pedicure. But Bentwood eventually cracks. He reveals the imminent arrival of the shipment through a runway. Time being critical, Spencer and his steadfast partner Hawk swiftly locate the truck. We track down the truck and kill the driver and assistant within it. They find a large quantity of drugs and bring it to Sissy's house for hiding. However, her dog sniffs the truck and discovers the drugs. Meanwhile, Driscoll calls them and informs that he has kidnapped Henry, demanding the delivery of the drug shipment in exchange for Henry's release within an hour. The countdown begins, and Spencer and Hawk embark on a relentless mission to free Henry. They devise a plan, sending Sissy alone to the location to divert attention. Spencer and Hawk then use a heavy truck as a battering ram, smashing into the criminal syndicate's cars. The fight becomes intense with punches, gunshots, and determined effort, leading to a final face-to-face battle between Spencer and Driscoll. Even though Driscoll nearly wins in the start, but Spencer's determination prevails in the end, and he beats Driscoll in the fight. In a moment of redemption, Spencer refuses to use the same cruel tactics which Driscoll employed against Boylan. He chooses not to sink to his enemy's level by killing him at the spot. With all the evidences, Spencer leaves the injured Driscoll and his associates on the road, awaiting the arrival of law enforcement. Riley arrives at the scene and arrests the criminals, declaring Spencer and his friend Hawk as heroes on news channels. Terrence is finally exonerated, receiving an officer's funeral worthy of a hero, along with a scholarship for his son. After their hard-fought victory, Spencer, Hawk, Henry, and Sissy celebrated with a well-deserved dinner. However, Spencer's keen eye catches a news report about a fire chief's arrest, despite his claims of innocence. It serves as a reminder that Spencer's quest for justice is far from over, leaving Henry and Sissy suspecting that another challenging case lies ahead. Here comes the end of the movie. Subscribe for more videos like this. Turn on notifications.